What's up, Waluigi? Trent from Trentendo here. We have a brand new Nintendo Switch 2 leak that we have got to talk about. The motherboard for the system is over on Nintendo Switch 2's subreddit, and while I'm not very technical, I've done some digging to understand what does this mean, and it's some pretty good news, honestly. And we've also got a new patent for Nintendo that was discovered that ties into what is happening on the motherboard. So before we hop into all that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video so you guys are kept up to date with everything going on here at Trentendo. We are on our path to 4,000 subscribers, so if you enjoy this type of stuff, hit that subscribe button. It would really mean a lot. And let's just dive right in. Now, as I mentioned, I'm not really the most technical person, so when I saw that motherboard leaked, I was like, okay, cool, what does that actually mean? So I've got a couple of notes here. We're going to go over, like I said, not the most technical version of it, but just some ideas of what we'll actually see on Nintendo's next system. And honestly, like I said, it's actually pretty exciting, and I think it's some good news for Nintendo Switch fans specifically that will get us a little bit closer to what we were seeing on, Xbox and PlayStation. While we won't be there totally, it gets us much closer than we currently are sitting. So first up, like I said, everything is kind of seeming pretty legit so far, and the way that they have done this is on the motherboard, the components have serial numbers and like other identifying markers, and those match up with what was on the shipping manifest that we had seen earlier in the year, or later last year, I guess it's January now. So late last year, we had some shipping manifests popped up of components basically being shipped from manufacturing back to Nintendo and vice versa, as they were getting things manufactured and ready to go for an official launch. So based off of what is on the motherboard and the components inside of it, it matches up with what we saw shipped. So that's kind of the first thing. And then people have also ran these pictures through AI tracking and things like that to really see, is this AI generated or not? And it looks like that is not the case with these pictures in particular. Now, we did have the leak of the Switch dock and kind of the Joy-Cons that was a little bit suspect to some people, where it looked, some of it may have been AI generated, but I think that consensus was that the images themselves were accurate and then the background was AI generated. In this case, the background was not generated. The image also, like everything looks legit. So based off of what we saw with the shipping manifest, and then also with, just kind of running it through some of these other softwares, it seems that this is a legit leak, which is pretty exciting. So now to more about what this actually means for Nintendo Switch fans. So one of the things that has popped up is that this is going to support ray tracing and AI upscaling. That's some great news. So that means basically that the system doesn't need to be as powerful as, a PS4 Pro or a PS5. It won't be a PS5 level, but maybe, there's some talks that it could be as strong as a PS4 Pro or something. But with the AI upscaling, it doesn't necessarily need to be as strong, but they're going to be able to make it look that much better while having some, deficiencies in the hardware. So the fact that this is going to support it is great. This also ties into that patent that we talked about earlier. Nintendo actually filed a patent for AI upscaling. So that means we can almost, I know patents are kind of hit and miss. Some stuff actually hits the market, some stuff doesn't. But the fact that, that's what's kind of being talked about at this time with what's on the motherboard, and then Nintendo files a patent for it, makes this pretty exciting that we're probably going to see some form of, DLSS upscaling, AI upscaling, whatever the case is. We're going to see something of that effect on this next system, which is great news for us. Like I said, it's just going to make the games look all that much better. Next up, so there's some talk about what size of chip processor this is going to be. Some people are saying this is like an 8 or a 9 nanometer processor. This is actually, I think, the consensus again now, as people have done some more digging over on Family boards. It has been brought up as well after this motherboard leak. People are saying that this is actually going to be probably a 5 nanometer processor. So, like I said, I'm not technical. I don't totally understand what that meant, but basically from some digging, it means that it will allow the system to not have to cool down as much, which would mean they typically have to downclock the system to make it so that it won't overheat in handheld mode especially. So now that we have, with the larger processor, now that we have a 5 nanometer processor though, it's likely that we're going to have a smaller or less of a need for the cooling, so they're not going to have to downclock it. It's going to make it more efficient, so it's going to essentially be more powerful because they're not going to have to hold back the hardware in fear of overheating it. So that's pretty exciting there as well. Next up is that it looks like we got 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is a pretty big upgrade from what we currently have on the current system. Still not quite as strong as like what we see on a PS5 or Xbox, but considering this is going to be a handheld device as well, that's pretty exciting. And we also do have, the last kind of thing on here is that it does have one cartridge slot is all. Now, the thought is that this could potentially be something like we see on the Nintendo 3DS, which would allow your cartridge from a DS or a 3DS to slide in, but the 3DS had a little nub on the side of it that wouldn't allow it to slide into a regular DS. So the thought is that there's going to be some sort of pin layout, or some sort of nub or something on the cartridge for Nintendo Switch 2 that will allow it to still slide into the current Nintendo Switch 2, but when you go to slide it into a Switch, like a regular Switch, it's not going to slide. So, but that will then allow it, the regular Switch cartridge to still slide into a current Nintendo Switch or a Switch 2 in this case. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. There's some thought, Nintendo has come out and said that this is going to be backwards compatible with the current Nintendo Switch. Is that digital only? Is that physical? There's some thought still on what does that totally mean. I would put money that is probably more towards, it's going to support both. I don't think it's going to be a digital only support backwards compatibility. It doesn't make sense for Nintendo to do that. I think that, they've shown in the past to do it. I think it makes sense that, they're only going to need one cartridge slot. I think it's just easier for people to remember. They can just slide it in whatever the game is. They're not going to have to try to worry about, is this a Switch 1 game or a Switch 2 game? Which cartridge slot does it go in? It's just going to make it a lot easier for fans and for, just the casual users, which Nintendo really likes to target with the Switch, and I think will be big with Switch 2, is that they're just going to want easy, convenient, and having that one cartridge slot I don't think is a big deal. So let me know what you guys think down below. Like I said, I think this is really interesting. Not the most technical guy, as I said, but it makes me excited to see that, we are seeing that more power. We're going to see better cooling, which, allows better battery life if they don't have to try to cool it as much, if it's going to be more efficient. But I think the big thing, like I said, is that they're going to have this upscaling as well, which is going to be really exciting. I think we're going to see a lot of games on the next system that we just haven't seen in the past that Nintendo hasn't gotten because of the power problem. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below on all this, though. Like I said, hit that subscribe button, like this video. It really does help. I appreciate it. We're going to get to 4,000 subscribers here soon. We'll do a cool giveaway once we get there. So hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed. And until next time, catch you later.